today's webinar, Gain Flexibility, Speed, and Accuracy in Your MEP Projects. This webinar is brought to you by GRAITEC. My name is Misty Scott, and I am pleased to be your moderator today. As a reminder, you can find a schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and training on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. Before we dive in, we'd love to learn more about how we can best support you and your business. If you could take a moment to answer the poll question on the right side of the screen, it will help us learn how we can best serve you. We'd also like to invite you to redeem a free demo of InSuite and check out our custom training classes. You can scan the QR code on the screen, but I will also add these to the screen at the very end during the Q&A. Now, feel free to drop any of your questions in the live chat during the presentation, and we'll have Gabe do the Q&A at the end. So I'm very pleased to introduce our expert today. Gabe Hernandez is an implementation consultant at GRAITEC. He specializes in MEP and architectural products with extensive experience in BIM workflows and fabrication. Gabe helps AEC professionals optimize efficiency through training, implementation, and product support. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gabe, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Welcome. Today, we're going to be covering a product here called M-Suites. This is, again, the title for this is Gaining Flexibility, Speed, and Accuracy in Your MEP Projects. So we'll be covering a tool here that will help you guide you along. We're going to start off with getting into a basic overview of what M-Suites is. Then we'll talk about how M-Suites will help optimize your workflow. And then the design process will be covering the product called M-Suites BIM, formerly known as BIM Pro, but it's now been rebranded to just BIM. So we'll get into that here in a second. A little bit about the M-Suites before we get started here. Let me get everything kind of set up. What M-Suites covers for you guys is it's from the design side. It has a Revit-based product that helps with, again, automating your spools, sheets creation, smart dimensioning, tagging. It has hanger tools, layout points tool, as well as schedules. And then from the BIM side, which we're going to be covering today, you could also take that into the fab side, fabrication productivity tracking, which has a whole other set of tools to help, again, with your shop processes, solution that helps improve productivity and track projects. Okay, and then after that, it also has a portion that goes into your field for field installation and productivity tracking there as well. So after we're done here, since this is a short video or a short webinar, I won't be able to cover all of the products. I'm only going to be covering the design-based products in Revit. But by all means, once we're done here, I'll show you the website that you can go to get a lot more information, just as well as the QR code that Misty brought up if you guys are interested in learning more. Oops, too far. So today, what we're going to be covering is the Revit-based product, which will allow us to track statuses, create assemblies, spool maps, sheets, and then, of course, the main features that Revit doesn't provide for, like hangers and points as well, right? So this product helps fills in the gaps for fabrication where Autodesk hasn't provided any kind of tools or features for these necessary tasks in the everyday fabrication MEP detailer's life, right? So that's what we're going to be covering here. And of course, it's compared to other products that I've worked with, it's very, very fast. So faster than competition is the key here. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. So let's get right into it. I want to get into Revit here. So let me show you guys the product since we only have 30 minutes. Up here at the top, we have a couple of things. Let me going over the features in the ribbon here. Of course, we have our resource panel here that has information about the product, support, your login for your licenses, and whenever there's updates available, you can access your updates when you're working in the product. It has a project manager option here so that when you do work in specific projects like this here, you can associate the projects with your projects that are online as well for the Fab Shop, and you can go in there, assign everything, get your details in here, your job numbers, your package details, workflows, budgeted hours, due dates, addresses, etc. Once you assign your projects to um, or you assign your projects here to the project manager, then the tools, using the tools is pretty easy to learn. The training for this is pretty quick. It's usually about an hour and a half to kind of get you and your teams up to speed. So real quick, the tools that are available in the BIM product or BIM Pro here in the tab are the spool tools, right, which we'll cover in this session, as well as the hanger tools. Again, taking up that need for automation in hanger placement in Revit. And then, of course, your field points here, where we can place our own points and export and create reports for our points, as well as import points as well. And then converting points from one type of point to another is also a feature in here. And then the complementary tools here that come along with the product, like your productivity tools with time allowed. If I get through this pretty quickly, I can show you some of these. These are really cool. The developer that created these, there's tasks in your fabrication products that take 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. There's different ways to do everything. But with these productivity tools here, it's basically shorten it up into really quick picks. God, spit it out. Where you can pick on, a couple of pieces of duct or pipe and accomplish exactly what would take you maybe about 8 steps. So the productivity tools are really slick. And then, of course, your data tools here, you can set it up to map information that maybe not easily found within your projects in your properties palette over there. An item numbering tool that, again, Revit doesn't provide for, so you need to number all your parts and pieces. There's a command for that. PCF and MAJ exports. So when we want to get this model out to the shop, we can export these out. And then, of course, for annotation, to speed that up, you've got a quick dimensioning tool and a quick tag tool here that helps with annotation in your products or in your projects. I'm sorry. So let's get into this. Let's talk a little bit about spooling. A couple of different ways to approach the spools. If you guys are used to doing, windows like this, selecting your elements, BIM Pro has a contextual tab, like most other tools in Revit, where the tab lights up green and you have tools that you could use to accomplish your tasks. You have a create spool. I have a break spool. I can manage spools. And then, of course, there's a selection option to select all alike. So I'll click on create spool here and it'll generate my spool. The naming conventions is also something that can be configured in this product, and I'll show it in a second. Right now I can just take the SA brand here for my service abbreviation, my numbering schemes there, and just click on OK, and it's pretty much done, right? There's another method is the end-to-end spooling, right? So I can pick on one end, select on another end here, with my control key like this, pick on 2 ends there, and then run the command as well, create spool. That'll create everything and spool everything in between. And then to add to the spools, right, I can go ahead and select on a spool, select the pieces, maybe the branches. Maybe you don't spool round duct, just the rectangular. But if I wanted to spool the round duct here, I can control select and select on the create spool command again. And that will allow me to generate that spool or to clean it up. Just like that. Now the colors are something that's been enhanced in this newer version. I'm in 7.0, but you can go in here and you can see your color spools. You have your color swatches here where I can go in and reconfigure the colors. This looks like all one solid color here, so I'll just remove the lines here and then hit OK to get that to fix it up. And now it gives it that nice look there with the black lines on the outline and then the color to fill in those gaps. Okay. Now, another method for spooling with ductwork like this, and then we'll do some piping in here, is so if I needed to start over, I could also select on these and just use my break spool command here and just break them up, right? Get them back to the way they were initially. And then up here at the top, again, I kind of go around counterclockwise here. So here's your create spool and your breakup spool, the ones that we've been using. That's pretty straightforward. I can merge spools, which I'll show you. You can divide spools up. Here's your color coding for spools. For services, you can also strip the colors. I'll show you also what showed spool does. Up here, we have the ability to create spool maps pretty quickly, convert spools. These are, if you had CAD MEP spools or the competitor spools like Siskiyou or what have you, you can use this command here to convert those into BIM Pro spools, right? I can do spool each duct, which I'm going to do next to kind of help speed up the process for spooling ductwork. And then you have an auto spool pipe command that will allow also to do some pipe spools pretty quickly. I can create or set it up here. Here's what the setup looks like when you do this. So I can calculate from existing spools for naming conventions. I can set the Revit default naming convention, which is kind of pretty generic. It just will label them MEP fabrication ductwork or MEP fabrication pipe work. It uses the category name and then whatever number sequence comes next. Typically, we do the service abbreviation here. That's kind of the most standard one. And then cool thing about this is that in these settings, if you have gaps, right? Because again, we always go back and forth when generating the spools. Say I've got spool 1 and 3, but I don't have spool 2, right? If you have this checkbox here, it'll fill in the gaps. Every time you run a new spool, it'll fill in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and continue on from there. And again, a lot of the times if you don't trust the way the naming conventions are, or there's a specific need for labeling these spools a certain way during a certain task or at a certain part in your project, you can go and always prompt, and it'll always bring up a dialog box as you generate the spools so that you can go in there, say if you need to add like level 1 spool, supply air spool, level 1, area B, something like that, just so that you can add the information at your prompt at any given time. And then there's some advanced options here. New to 7.0 is include taps and OLEDs in your spools, but you can add the Fab Pro parameters, which is the Fab component to this. So we go to the shop, you can export. I'll show you in the manager here how you would upload your spools to the shop. Color spools on creation. Maybe you don't want to do colors on your spools. You can uncheck this here. And then that point-to-point spooling where I picked one end and the last end and everything in between will spool. So it gives you some options there, as well as for nested families. So if you want to include those in your spools, you have those options in here. So I can just do a save and close here just to get out of the settings. And then the spool each duct, right? Basically what you do is you select on that command, you window everything in the view that you want to spool, you finish it out. And again, timing wise, this is pretty powerful. It goes pretty quick. Typically in a demo or a webinar, you would have this pre-recorded, or you would kind of have a lot of filler in between there. But you can see how quick this does this. It's very, very quick. I can pick the next, or this pieces here that didn't get picked up, finish it out, and there are all my spools, okay, for my duct. Now to generate a spool here, I'll just show you really quick. For the duct, and then like I said, I'll do the piping here in a second. You go to your spool manager here, and in your spool manager, you can do quite a bit in here as well. Here's where you would take your spools, right? Pick, the amount of spools you want to generate. I'll just generate the first one. Packages here are your prefab packages. So again, if you want to organize these into packages for your shop, you can do that here and set it up and create a package for these spools. Some of these here, like if I don't know if I can remove it, but you can, what's new to 7.0 is you can actually create a new spool or a new package here if I wanted to. So like if I wanted to create a new package name like level 1, something like this, area B, prefab package, O1 or something like that. You can give it the name up here. Set it whatever type of workflow you're doing, your address, your delivery instructions, city, state, budgeted hours, zip code, and due dates. And again, the reason why this is all here is because you can track all this information in your projects at a later time, or and you're in your workflows, right? During this process, you can track. But to build the spools, you can set up templates as well. But I just select on the spool here. I'll build it, let it build, and then in your spool options, you can either create your own title blocks. There's a custom title blocks that come with the product as well. I have general options here where I want to store these in assemblies. I can browse in here and put in my company logo. Let's see here. I'll put in this logo here, right? So that it places my company logo at the bottom of the sheet. And then I can go in here and choose, the proper title blocks. I'll do an 11 by 17. I can load in new title blocks here. And then, of course, set the title block parameters if needed, right? So I can do that. Set my viewports. Now, what type of view do I want to add to this, right? I want to add an isometric view. Placement left, right, I'll say the right side is my isometric. Your orientation, what ISO do you want? You can have few templates assigned to this. If I want color, what's good about isometric views with M-Suite's BIM Pro is that you can add dimensions to your isometrics, where some products don't allow for that, right? I can do my ISO views, I want dimensions, and in my plan view over here, I want to show my tags, right? I can do continuation tags and other options as well, column dimensions, etc., right? And then, of course, what tags do you want to place on these spools? So you can set up your tags here, leader lines, if you like, dimensions as well. You set up your dimension styles. So I can go duct taps here, overall runs, overall edge to edge, those types of things, duct offsets, and then you set your dimension style and type up. And then, of course, your schedules, your bill of materials, right? Where is it going to go? Top right, bottom left, you can set that up. Second, BOM on view template. So you can do view templates here for those as well. Alphabetical, by size, group similar items. So you don't have individual itemization of it. Sort bill of materials, right? And then for my cut lists and my joint tracking, I also can set up a schedule for it. But once you've done all this, and I save this here, in setup, it'll generate the spool sheet here. And then I have my sheet here available that we can take a look at, and you can see there's your simple spool with your isometric dimensions and your bill of materials, with all the information that's needed for that particular spool. And there's my logo there, right? So our company logo. So it's pretty slick the way it works, as far as the ease of use, right? And then once I'm done, I can just finish this out. I could also export these out to PDF, right? So I'll just throw this on my desktop here, create a folder, select that folder, and I can export those to PDF format as well if I needed to. You can see there's other options in here for PDF paths, MAJ paths, print settings, percentage of completion, right? Your workflows, due dates, statuses, right? There's a lot more information that's in these spools that we've been needing, right? And then, of course, I could also take these and upload those to the fabrication component here to the shop. I can upload them directly to the shop and, use my settings here if I want family subcomponents to be included, fabrication part ancillaries, hanger cuts. I can add all that to the upload that's going up to the shop. And then, of course, I can export this out to MAJ as well. I'll just put it in here. And there's your MAJ and my PDF of the spool. So you can export these out of the manager. And then if I'm using the shop component, I can actually bring down that information from the shop, like percentage of completion, workflow, due date status, fabrication completed on, work items, those types of things. The rest of this here gets filled out, in the shop, and I can also bring that back into your managed spools option here. So there's quite a bit that you can do. Let me close this out and get in and do a little bit of piping real quick with time running out here. The same thing for the pipe work, right? If I go to pipe work, again, this usually takes forever, but there's a auto spool pipe command here. You select on it, you select your services that you want to spool. So you'll have a list of services. You can set your minimum and maximum lengths, right? So I'll say 21 feet are my maximum lengths. You can set the minimum and maximum pipe diameters. You can break at flanges, spool OLETs, right? Valves, weight, equipment, max elevation, only elbows in a direction, right? So you've got quite a few options here on what you want to spool when it comes to pipe. And then your case of notification down here is what happens when it gets to a certain point, when it exceeds or it exceeds your maximums or your minimums, right? How is it supposed to react? Do you want it to take the entire pipe, exclude the pipe, or split the pipe at a specific length? And here's your length option here. It's 3 decimal feet, which is kind of by standard. And then there's a couple of other options here that they're enhancing as well. But if I say accept and create here, watch what happens. So 167 spools here, and we'll check the time. We're at 20 after. And it does this pretty quick. This is something, again, like I said, I don't normally do in a demo or in a presentation. You kind of don't want to run that many, just do a couple at a time and just to show the feature function, the ease of use. But because this is so fast and it does so many spools quickly, it's something that really we like to show off there. But there you go. There goes all my pipe work. And then, even things like this here where, we stop at the elbow, right? I'm going to take this one here. I can select that piece that didn't get spooled and just hit the button up here to create the spool to fix that, right? So I can fix that pretty quickly without much effort. Okay. Now that I got those spooled, let's take a look at the manage spools here. And you can set them up into different packages, right? So I can see here's all my chilled waters, right? All these here. I'll build, actually, maybe assign them to a package here. I'll create it. Actually, I could just do package 1. Cancel that. Sorry. That's my hydronic package. And then I'll build them. Take my default settings, right? I've got all this already set up. I want that to use those settings. Finish this out. It'll generate my spools. And then in here, again, I can go into the sheet here and review the sheets as I need. Right, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done over here. I've got my joint tracking schedule. Oh, come on. I need to get out of the command. Sorry, I was still in there. Let me go to another one here. Let's take a look. Here we go. This is a better looking one. But there you go. You've got your schedules, right? My bill of materials, my cut list, my joint tracking. Here's my isometric dimensioning, right? Which is pretty slick. Again, it does this process pretty well. And it takes just a minimal customization, right? You can set that up the way you like. And then, again, I know we're short on time here, so I'll go and do some hanger placement, right? So I'll show you the tools for hangers. The command, again, you can do a setup, hanger setup here. And what you would do is you would set it up to provide the type of hanger that you'd like. Right, so you would set up your rules in here. You can add a rule, give it a rule hanger, hanger 1. You can do it by surface or service here, right? So I can pick specific services, materials, insulation, straight lengths from minimums to maximums, right? Round sizes, minimums and maximums, rectangular, oval sizes, right? I'll say services here and then choose my mechanical services. Then you pick the hanger that you want. Say I want a clevis hanger here, right? You pick your rod size, say 1/2 inch. And then here is your from end of the run. You want it 1 foot from the end. Your spacing, right? I'll say 12-foot spacing attached to structure. You could give it a naming convention. So if I want to add like H to all my hangers, H1, and it starts to name them for you. If I was doing a rack here with the strut, these options would be available where I could do maximum horizontal, vertical, overall width, slope tolerance. Again, I can set the rack spacing up using this dimension view over here. Set up my cuts as well for trapezes. I'm using a clevis, so it doesn't allow for that. But I can go in here and add a BIM Pro attachment, right? The description, maybe add in an embed here, right? Extend my rod links rounded to the nearest inch or 2 inch, right? Add an area of influence with 3 inches there for clearances. And then even add my field points in here. I can say that this is going to be a staked out point. Prefix, name prefix, we'll just say S or whatever, 1, description, hanger, right? And then you could even append the element data to description so you can get that information if you need to in your descriptions. But all I do here is I'll do a save and run. Oops. Choose the rule and then do a save and run, and it'll run this hanger command on my pipes here in the view. So of course this is like view specific, right? You can do it by service. If you isolate the views, you can create your views here so that you'd have them specifically set up for placing hangers, but it'll place them for me. And then because I added the points to the hangers here, right, the embeds, the attachment, I don't have to go back and add them secondarily, right? But there's my hanger placements. And you even have built-in hanger clashes, right? So I can go in here and go to hanger clashes and review if there are any issues here with the hangers. Say, let me see if I can force one. Let's see, where would I force one? Let me try to drag this one. Something like this here. Let's see if that works. Hanger clashes. Yeah. Let's try that again. Hold on. Probably not going to let me do it very easily. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it anyway just to see if I can get this to work. Rerun clash. No, I can't. Reset view. Rerun clash. Well, that's good anyway that it's not clashing with others. That one's been disconnected. But you'll get clashes in here. And it will find them for you, and it will allow you to isolate clashes, repair them, and you just basically keep running the clash report until it goes away. You can export so you can keep track of your clashes so you know that you've done your due diligence and cleaned things up, but you can do quite a bit here. Isolate them, export them out when they're done, toggle transparency so that you can actually see them in the model if there's too much geometry in the way. And then, of course, with these hangers already placed here, I've got a reporting command here. So I can go to my hanger reports, and these are built. This is built-in reports here in your in the product here. So I can go and I don't have these spooled, so I can go in and remove and customize this. So I don't need the ones that don't have data, like ancillaries list here, right? Service color, I don't care about that, right? I need just this basic information. I can export this out to CSV, if I can spell. Like this here. And you can export this information out to a CSV format and pass that along however you need. Okay. Same thing for the hanger cuts, right? I can go in here and do the same thing, export this out if I want to customize that. So say hanger cuts. And then you even have your total links here, material size and description. And then I can export that as well out. Out of here. Okay. So you can do quite a bit with your hangers and your reports. Now, lastly here, once that's done, give it a second. What I want to show you with time allowed here is my points export. There we go. And that was my fault. I think I stopped it in the middle of the way there. My fault. trying to get past that, but let's go ahead and let me launch this back up. Now, the last part of this, we'll start this back up. Give me 1 second here. I apologize for that. Greatest thing in the world to see a fatal error during a demo or a webinar.
Now that's
Come on.
just real life, you know?
Yeah, it happens. It happens, right? And
Yeah.
it's 2025. I should have done this in 24, 23 with probably a little bit more stable because of the service packs, or the updates, but we'll go ahead and continue on.
Yeah, and just to let you know,
Go
it
ahead.
is at the 1:30 mark, but we don't have any
Okay.
questions yet. So you have a
Okay.
little bit
Okay.
more time.
Perfect. Perfect. Like I said, usually I can talk for 2, 3 hours straight. So yeah, I don't want to do that today. Let's see. Come on. Revit, you good. There we go. All right. So the last one that I want you guys to see, that's one of the major components here of the product, is the exporting of your points, right? Once this stuff is placed in your project, when you have your, your hanger placement, and you have points to see, right? Let me do this real quick. Let me put the hangers back on. So hanger placement. Should have my hanger rules still in there. I don't know if that went away after the crash, but looks like it's placing them. Adding my fill points as well as the hangers. Then there's the clevises, right? Now this is, again, you want to do, it's what we call WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get when you export these things out. But if I go here to point reporting, in my points report here, I can actually see, all the different points that I've placed in this project, right? Set up my coordinate system, my precision. Maybe I don't need 8 points of decimal precision. Maybe I can go down to 3, right? Decimal feet, decimal inches, meters, or survey feet. You can swap out your northings and eastings, XYZ, YXZ. I can do this here, XYZ or YXZ, depending on what your output needs to be. And then I can export this to CSV, DAT, or DAT file, or a TXT format, and I could even include a DWG. Now, when you include the DWG, what you see is what you get, right? So you need to be in a floor plan view in order for you to create the flat 2D drawing, not in 3D. So when I do this and I export this out, my points report, I'll just double click through AutoCAD over here. Here it is, points report drawing. And don't double click through File Explorer. I teach this in my training. That's bad practice. That introduces corruption into AutoCAD and to Revit. So you got to always use the program open. But for time's sake here, I'm just going to go ahead and double click on it. I mean, I did that for 20 years in the industry. When I was working with AutoCAD, we double clicked on everything. But to come to find out, that causes corruption. But you see here, there's my nice AutoCAD file as well as the points file. And it's a nice, when you do it in a floor plan view, it's a nice flat 2D CAD file with layering setup, right? Your layer schemes are set up in your AIA layer 256 setup, and colors. So you take advantage of that as well, right? So there they are. Now you got my points DWG file as well as the points file itself, right? This CSV. And I've got my naming convention, the type, my XYZ, and then the description as well, right? So again, if you needed to swap out these, you would do that typically here in Excel, but you can do it within the program over here where I can do the column order as YXZ, and then my header text also, my eastings, northings, and headings. I can change that up if I need to. Okay, and then you have the 3 different file formats. Okay, You could also import points. So if you had to import them, you can import some from a GC, and then you could also use the compare points once you've imported points from somewhere else or an external source. You can compare them and get some good information. Under your column over here is where, you can make some adjustments to what actually is being read in these dialog boxes and your exports. Okay. All right, so I know we're past the 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop right there. And again, just to kind of recap, the spool tools are pretty powerful. Again, you can spool with one click by swiping windows, a couple of different methods for spooling. I'll go ahead and generate a spool map while I'm talking about this, but I can go in here and actually, let me get out of that. Let me go back to the hanger one, or the spool one, like this, and I can color my spools with the click of a button. Did it not create those assemblies? It should have. And then I can do a spool map up here. I think I need to go back and respool these. But yeah, it creates a spool map for us. Let me just do this one time, see if this works. And we can answer questions while this is kind of trucking in the background, if there's any questions.
If you have any questions, you can throw them in the live chat. I also put in the live chat the links that I'm sharing on the screen for anybody watching on demand. If you want to learn more about M-Suite and request a free demo. And then the next link I'm about to put up there is exploring our training and services. But yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. Gabe, have you done any meetings or any trainings on M-Suite? Is there like a common question that is asked?
One of the common questions that I get all the time: does this just work for ITMs? Right? ITMs is a fabrication content format that works in the CAD products, but this is not file format specific, right? So this works for both ITMs and families. So that's a big one that I get asked all the time. That's pretty neat to kind of let everybody know. It's like, hey, we can do. You can use families in this case as well. So something to think about.
Awesome.
So not just ITM content. This works with both Revit families and ITMs.
Awesome. And while you're waiting for that to come up, I'm going to put the email in the chat. If you guys think of any questions after the webinar, if you're watching on demand, you can email them to me at webinars@graitec.com. I'll see what webinar it came from, and we'll get you hooked up with the right person with the right answers.
Awesome. Try this again. Oops. Prefab package 01. Create a spool map.
And while that's coming in, you did get a question from Jason. He said, can you produce spool maps or installation drawings?
Yes, you can. This spool map here, I had it set up previously in my normal demo set data set. For whatever reason, I'm not having it work for me properly here. But yes, you can. And then from the manage spools dialog here, this is where you can take all your spools here and then take those out, like this here. You would take these spools and then you can export them out. You can build them first and then create PDFs for them as well as MAJs. So you can build them using your setup and then also export them out to PDF and to MAJ formats as well using the spool manager.
Awesome. Fantastic. I'm outside of that so far.
Yeah. All right. I can show you another spool here. There is another spool view of a piece of some of the pipe work that we just did. Okay. Close it out. All right. Well, I guess we'll stop here before I get another error issue. But
well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say we could stick around for a little bit to answer any more questions.
Yeah, we can stay on just to see if you guys think of any questions in another minute or so. But if you are interested in training, you can get one-on-one with Gabe. We've got customized classes, group classes, tons of different things available. So you can click that link on the screen as well. We also have the free demo for you as well. So anything we can do to help you out, the poll questions, let us know, hey, you're interested in a meeting, or you're just interested in training, or you're just interested in a demo. Either way, let us know how we can best serve you. And what you got up on the screen over there, Gabe?
This is the website for M Suites for you guys to take a look
Oh,
at. You'll see the both products, the BIM product that I just showed you guys, the Fab product if you guys are more interested in the shop solutions. You can see here for the different industries, some resources as well. But if you go here, there's some really good information about the product and breakdowns, and even some customer success stories on, you guys competitors and peers that are out there utilizing the software already, right? So there's some good information to kind of take a look at on their website. So you can go take a look.
love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any questions, but I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope it was meaningful, impactful for you and your businesses. You will get a recording of this within 24 hours. If you don't get that, you can email me at webinars@graitec.com. Gabe, thank you so much for joining us as well. We look forward to seeing you all on future webinars. Have a great day.
Thank you.